Hi guys, today we're looking at Airfix's Panther in a 1/76 scale. Here's the box here, as you can see. Artwork is quite nice. It looks really sharp. It shows it, strangely enough, in a desert background there, which I'm not quite sure that the Panther ever actually served in a desert background. I don't think it served in North Africa, because Kursk was its first operational debut, and mainly it was the eastern and western fronts after that. But however, maybe I'm incorrect. So as you can see, the box there, standard enough Airfix kind of a box, shows the as you see, the artwork there, and the various bits and pieces. A little depiction of the tank down here as well in the kind of painted format. Usual warnings on the side of the boxes here. As we always say, Airfix kits are not part of any food group. Fair enough. Into the box, and the other side of the box are a little blurb about the tank itself, saying, you know, how wonderful the Panther was, and so on and so forth, and why it was developed and all that. Back of the box there, what have we got? Just a little painting guide. Nothing particularly exciting at all there, really, to be honest. It's just kind of done in a desert camouflage pattern. I wouldn't even call it camouflage, but it's using desert yellow. It's a Humbrol 93. And just two other colours there, a silver and a black for the gunmetal and what have you. Markings are very basic there. In fact, it even leaves out, I think, one of the markings that's on the decal sheet. So basically all you have is turret markings and the German national insignia cross there as well, the what's it, Balkan Cruiser or whatever it was. So it's a very basic, very basic model. It's actually listed as skill level 2, I think it is. Yep, and it's almost skill level 1, but you'll see there's one little thing that is mildly complicated that for a younger modeler might prove a little bit difficult, but the rest of it is fairly straightforward, as I always say. So that's the box itself. Let's have a look at the instructions. I'll just put this out of the way for the moment. Instructions here again, newer instruction sheet, but no coloured painting guide in it, as with some of them. I think this one was released in 2012 most recently, but I think it goes back as far as 1961 and has been boxed in various versions and sets and things like that over the years. It is 176, but some of the old boxings listed as 172, but there you go, it is 176. So the usual Airfix layout there, very straightforward. This is the little piece I was referring to as regards the minor complexity. It's just basically the sprockets, or whatever you call them there, for the road wheels, which have to be put in individually. Unnecessary, to be honest with you. I think from a sculpting perspective, it could have just been done on the actual kind of floor plate of the hull there, but look, that's what we have, that's what we have to deal with. So that was step 1. Step 2 then, of course, is just applying the various sides. Step 3 then, which will take you a little bit longer, just make sure you get these in order, as with most Panther tanks, Jag Panthers and King Tigers and stuff. You have this kind of overlapping wheel selection or section, which you can just do it. Just be careful when you're doing that, just that you don't put the wrong wheel in the wrong place. Take a bit of time. Sprockets and runners and that kind of stuff in there, and then you've kind of coming into the final assembly stages here. You have the few little bits and pieces to go onto the hull, and you have the turret and commander's cupola and stuff like that, and you just stick on the turret there again and apply the vinyl tracks. Very easy. Not expecting much in the line of issues as regards this, and blank page at the back. Lovely. Okay, so let's have a look at the sprue. What have we got here? We'll go start with this one here. So here you just have basic road wheels and bits and pieces. You know, again, nothing particularly exciting. They're kind of an older style Airfix green plastic, which some of us older modders might remember quite fondly. Bits of the sprue coming off here. Actually, one of the wheels came off as well. Now these were all in a plastic packet, I have to say, a little plastic bag that was sealed, so there was nothing getting lost there. I just taken it out of the packet because I don't like trying to record a video and having plastic rustling all over the place. But so that's, again, you can see there's a little bit of detail on the wheels, but not much. But you know, it's kind of straightforward enough. It's nothing overly complex. So that's kind of the wheel section there. Here we have some more of the sprue. Kind of the gun mantlet and a few bits and pieces. The rear of the hull there, some hatches, and that. And here we have those aforementioned little pieces, which I think are just going to slow it down by about 5 to 6 minutes. But there we go. That's that. And then we have the what is that? That's the turret gun, the 75mm gun, and the floor plate. There's no hatch on the back of that turret, actually, I noticed, so I might do something about that. I might just put something there to take that blank look off it. And here is the actual upper hull section as well. It has the letterbox driver's slot there, and it has these slightly different ventilation shafts. I can't remember which type this is. I always get my Panthers mixed up between the A, the D and the G variants and so on, but I'm sure someone can tell me, or I'll just Google it in 10 minutes myself once I've this video finished. But anyway, that's the detail isn't too bad there. I mean, it's, as I say, it's a very old kit, so it's probably not the most accurate. But at the same time, for my purposes, which are basically wargaming, myself and the young lad, we will do this up, and you know, it'll be fine. It'll be matching in with some Matchbox and some Rebel Panthers we already have. The Rebel one is 172, so it's a little bit bigger, but you know, for the units we're putting together, that won't be a particularly you know, not a big issue. Tracks then, vinyl tracks. Yeah, usual story of vinyl tracks. Rubbery, finally, all the rest of it, so they'll be glued in position. I don't really do the kind of the recommended heat scenario here in the end, just not my thing. I prefer to super glue them and lay them in place. Decals, very basic decals. A little bit of a lack of imagination there on Airfix's part, I think myself. They could have given us maybe a couple of decal options. 2 would have been nice, something maybe a little bit more complex or interesting, really, would have been lovely. Something from Normandy or the Eastern Front or something anyway, but that's all we get is turret markings, the black cross and the K there, which I'm presuming is for Kleist or von Kleist, whatever army group that was, I can't remember. But anyway, that's basically it, and the little thing that just gives the name of the vehicle itself, the Pz.Kpfw.V, as it's in English, but that is basically that. Now, what I will be doing myself with this particular kit is I'll be adding 1 or 2 small little bits and pieces to it, just to kind of add a little bit to it to be a bit more interesting. I am going to put a little bit of skirting here on the side, just to blend in with the other Panthers I have, and I may put on 1 or 2 little bits of stowage or something, just to liven it up a little bit, because it is a very plain model, and just to give it a little bit of depth. But that's about all I'll be doing with it. So that's kind of it, guys. It's a very old release. It's out, as I say, since 1961, so it's even older than I am. But it's a nice little kit. I actually like it. I'm looking forward to putting this one together. I've never actually put an Airfix Panther together. I've put several different brands and variants of the Panther. I've assembled numerous versions of them over the years, but I'm looking forward to this one because it's so basic and it's just one of the classic kits from the Airfix range, and I think it gets a bit of bad press, but we'll see what positive or negative things I have to say about it once it's assembled. So I'm going to toddle on, and I'll be back in a moment with the wonders of modern technology and video editing, with hopefully the completed version of this. So stick with it for a second, guys, and I'll be right back. Okay, bye. So we have returned with the completed Panther, the Airfix Panther. As you can see there, I didn't stick to the recommended colorings that were given in the box, so I found them a little bit boring, and anyway I'm matching in with an existing unit. So what I did with this particular kit was I give it our kind of ambush pattern. That's sort of a generic sort of a pattern myself and the young lad have come up with, and I've added a few bits and pieces to it which did not come with the kit itself. Basically, the bit of stowage on it is all from the Plastic Soldier Company Sd.Kfz 251 half-track sets, which will give you quite a lot of spare stowage. You can see this little kind of a bedroll type thing here, a canvas cover for the focus. There you go. And on the turrets, or the turret, should I say, you have some personal gear there. You have a jerry can, petrol can, fuel can, whatever it is. And again, here's some more personal stowage as well there. There's helmets and a few bits and pieces. On the sides here, as you saw on the other side as well, there's some spare track links at the back. That is basically from the Revell, either Panther or Jag Panther, I can't remember which. But I had them in the spares box, and I said I'd stick them on there just to take the kind of bare look off it, because there's really nothing else comes with the kit other than what you see there. Also the towing cable, that's also from the Revell kit. Again, I think it's the Jag Panther, but it could have been the Panther itself, I can't recall. I did a few of those together at one time many years ago, and I had a few bits and pieces of spares left around, so that's what I did with that. The shirtson, or the skirting there on the side, is actually just a piece of cardboard, literally from a cereal box. Just trimmed and put in place. I'm going to probably put a few nicks and cuts and dents in that just to make it look a bit more realistic, and perhaps draw little panel lines down vertically, horizontally, no, vertically down along, to look like individual panels. The markings themselves are actually quite clear. Well, they want to be, they're fairly new. And I've actually put the black cross, as you can see here, as opposed to back here, where at the rear of the vehicle there, where those spare tracks are, because I just wanted it to be visible anyway. Again, some track up by the turret there as well. That's also from the Revell kit. But basically, it's a nice little kit. It looks well. It is a little bit small in comparison to other Panthers that are out there on the market, which I'll show you a couple of variations in their versions in a minute. Fit issues. I did actually have a little bit of trouble with this for something that I thought would be so easy. Everything went together perfectly. I even did a little dry test fit, and everything seemed to be quite nice. You might see that in the video I did for the Agostini diecast Panther. But when I went to put it in the final assembly stages, I had some terrible trouble getting the front section there, where the tracks meet the front of the vehicle right here. Would not sit down. I had to pare away some plastic on the model itself, in the concealed parts there, to get that just to close down properly, particularly at this piece here at the front, the little kind of join seam line there. And as a result, I ended up with a gap back here, but it was the only option really. I don't know why that was, because I went and measured everything. Everything was in balance, shall we say. There was no it wasn't off center, or it was level everywhere it should have been, and so on and so forth. So I really don't know what the issue was there. I have a feeling it might have been the tracks. The tracks also were too short by about, I'd say, half a centimetre on this one. Maybe not on the one you have, or if you're getting another one, maybe it won't be on that one, but on this one they certainly were. Even though they were fully formed, there was nothing missing. But from that perspective, I ended up actually trimming them about a centimetre back on each end here. So we'll say, where are we? It goes back about as far as here, and there's no track here about as far as here. And I just super glued them onto the wheels there, the drive wheels and so on and so forth, and just kind of formed them into position. Again, the shirtson is hiding it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if I didn't do that, the actual it just wouldn't have sat down properly for me. As I say, I've built several Panthers over the years, and Jag Panthers, so it's not like it's the first time I've ever come across this particular tank in kit form. But this one, despite how simple it looked in the instructions, it was the one that gave me the most trouble. So there you go. I shouldn't have said that on camera. Murphy's Law. But having said that, I actually still like it. I think it looks quite well. It's a nice little kit, bar that little issue, which may have just been unique to my one, or more than likely the guy who was putting it together. But at the same time, can't really fault it, apart from it does have a little bit of a size difference going on there. So what I'll do is I actually have a little platform here underneath this. I'll remove this for the moment, bring that down. I'm just using Philip Truett's Armoured Fighting Vehicles, which I use for some reference stuff. Just one of the books I use. I have dozens of these things, but anyway, so there's the Airfix one. The closest to it that I have is probably the Matchbox. So they're in a company together for rapid fire purposes, and they
and they match up fairly well together. It's another one of the reasons why I put the stowage on it, to give it a little bit of extra chunk to it, to just sort of blend it a little bit better, because it does seem a little bit narrower when you look at them side by side. Don't know if it'll show up on camera as well, but it definitely, there is a slight difference. The gun itself is fractionally shorter and is certainly narrower, and the muzzle brake is a little bit smaller as well. So from that perspective, there is some minor differences. Now, it won't bother me too much, but it might be something that might bother another modeler. So this is the D'Agostini Panther. So there, and then you also have the Revell one here. Now, if I just try and elevate myself here up off the kitchen floor, we might be able to see some of the variances there. So, I mean, it is a little bit smaller than certainly the Revell one, as you can see. It's a little bit closer to the D'Agostini one, all right, but it matches in fairly well with the Matchbox one. But there is a little bit of size difference, and it is the smallest of the bunch. But that's that. Other than that, really, it's a nice little kit. As I say, it was a little bit challenging, unexpectedly so, from the perspective of the assembly. But look, we got through it, and it's ready for action. So that basically, guys, is our review on the Airfix 176 Panther. Nicely boxed there, as you can see. Not a bad kit, as I say, despite my few complications I had with it. Looks quite well, and is a good little foundation for any converting you wanted to do, or any, kit bashing, whatever. So that's that, guys. I'll leave you with it. We'll have a few other videos coming up fairly soon. We've a good lot of stuff to get through yet. So if you'd like and subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. So until then, all the best. Take care.